a desperate journey into the mountains and into madness. It begins not with a monster or a ghost, but with a dream of a better life, of golden lands and endless opportunity. But what happens when that dream leads you into a nightmare? In the winter of 1846, a group of American pioneers would find out. Trapped by snow, they faced a choice between starvation and the unthinkable. Their story is more than a cautionary tale. It's a chilling look into the darkest corners of human survival. How far would you go to see another sunrise? This is the story of the DonnerParty, and the echoes of their choices still haunt the Sierra Nevada mountains today. In the spring of 1846, America was a nation gripped by manifest destiny, the belief that it was their divine right to expand westward. Thousands packed their lives into wagons, lured by promises of fertile land in California. Among them were two brothers from Illinois, George and Jacob Donner, and a businessman named James Reed. Together, they led a well-equipped party of families, setting out on the well-trodden Oregon Trail. The journey was long but manageable. The mood was optimistic. They were pioneers, forging a new future. But their fate turned on a single fateful decision. A charismatic guidebook author named Lansford Hastings promoted a new, unproven shortcut. He claimed it would shave weeks off their journey. This Hastings cutoff was the hook. For the DonnerParty, it promised a faster path to their dream. The lesson they would learn is that shortcuts in life often lead to the longest, most arduous paths. The allure of an easy way forward can be the most dangerous trap of all. Following the main group that chose the cutoff, the DonnerParty soon found the so-called shortcut was anything but. The trail was barely a path. They had to clear dense brush and carve roads through treacherous rocky canyons. Wagons broke down, cattle were lost, and precious time slipped away. Tempers flared. In a moment of rage, James Reed killed another man in a dispute and was banished from the group, forced to ride ahead alone. The party was fractured and demoralized. By the time they finally emerged from the brutal shortcut, they were weeks behind schedule. Winter was no longer a distant threat. It was breathing down their necks. As they began the final ascent into the Sierra Nevada, the sky turned a menacing gray. Then, the snow began to fall. An early, monstrous blizzard trapped them. The pass was blocked. They were stranded, just 150 miles from their destination. The dream of California had become a prison of ice and snow. Starvation set in, a slow, creeping horror. They ate their pack animals, then their leather hides, then twigs, and finally boiled bones. But it wasn't enough. People began to die. It started with the very young and the old. A small group, later known as the Forlorn Hope, set out on snowshoes to find help. Of the 15 who left, only 7 survived, and they only did so by resorting to the ultimate taboo. Back at the camp, the survivors huddled in crude cabins, their humanity stripped away with each passing day. When rescuers, summoned by the now-pardoned James Reed, finally reached the camps months later, they were met with a scene of unimaginable horror. What they found would forever cement the DonnerParty's name in history, a grim testament to the desperate lengths people will go to survive. But the story doesn't end with cannibalism. The real twist isn't just what they did, but who did it, and why the story gets told the way it does. Archaeological finds at the campsite in the 1980s and 2000s have complicated the simple, horrific narrative. Evidence shows that while human bones were indeed found, they weren't broken and boiled in the same way animal bones were. Some researchers now suggest that the cannibalism, while it certainly happened, may have been less about savage survival and more about a somber, ritualistic necessity. It wasn't a frenzied madness, but a grim, last-ditch effort to keep loved ones alive. Furthermore, many survivors, particularly the women, refused to speak of it for the rest of their lives. The sensationalized stories came largely from men and rescuers, creating a legend that focused on the horror rather than the profound human tragedy. The real revelation is that the popular image of the DonnerParty may be a caricature, one that obscures the true psychological torment they endured. The silence of the survivors speaks volumes more than the gruesome stories that were told. Of the 87 members of the DonnerParty who were trapped, only 48 survived. Their ordeal became a national sensation, a dark counterpoint to the triumphant narrative of westward expansion. The Hastings cutoff was abandoned, and their story served as a stark warning to future pioneers. Stick to the known path. Yet, the legacy is more than just a cautionary tale. The survivors went on to build new lives in California. Their descendants became part of the state's founding fabric. The site of their tragic encampment is now Donner Memorial State Park, a place of reflection. It reminds us that history is not just about dates and events, but about people pushed to their absolute limits. The DonnerParty's story forces us to confront uncomfortable questions about our own nature. It shows that the line between civilization and desperation is terrifyingly thin. Their sacrifice, born of a simple dream, became a permanent part of the American story, a reminder of the high cost of ambition and the incredible, and sometimes terrible, resilience of the human spirit. What began as a journey toward a golden future ended in a legend that history tried to forget, yet cannot. The echoes of their struggle remind us that behind every great endeavor lies the shadow of great risk. The mountains may have trapped their bodies, but their story traps our imagination, daring us to ask what choices we would make at the edge of the world. Thanks for watching Echoes of Time. Subscribe for more stories from the forgotten corners of history.